It's our pleasure to welcome you to Guatemala. Local time here is 1:43. Once again, 1:43 local time.
It was so colorful and bright, like there was like a ton of stuff everywhere.
It was neat seeing the, very crowded and clustered markets with all the different kinds of food and clothes and other random things available. So
It just felt like it had more life and more stuff happening. In New Hampshire, we always travel in cars. We go from one place to another, but in Guatemala, we are walking all the time and we get to stop and look at places that we find interesting and take long truck rides in the back of a truck.
Actually, it was a really good way to like see even more of everything because you could, you saw everything as you were going by and you saw a lot of people and all the different parts of the country because the scenery was beautiful.
But going up the mountain, that was beautiful. I've never seen a mountain that looked like that before. Like New Hampshire mountains, they're big, but they're not as big as the Guatemalan mountains. It was so pretty. Just feeling like the air and the wind in my hair and just on my face, it was really nice. It was really freeing. It was beautiful. Pretty cool plants, which there were some nice plants there.
It was beautiful. There were so many mountains. It was just nice being out in the nature.
When we were driving up the mountain, it wasn't too far from the village, but looking down the slope, you could see this really big cornfield that went from the road all the way down. That was really neat to see.
This has definitely opened up my mind to travel a lot more and to definitely visit back at Guatemala because I would love to see those people again and meet more people around the world.
when we did go to, the village and stuff, and we got to see how everyone lived, where most of the houses had dirt floors and not running water, I did realize, how much of a privilege it is that we have those things. We get to, sleep in beds. We have, nice carpeted floors. We have running water. It's, hot and stuff like that. It really changed the way that I think about everything, and the way that I realize, the world's not just, the culture we have here in the United States. There are people who have it, much worse than us, and who can really benefit from the help that we could easily give them.
When I first got to La Navidad, it was definitely something I'd never really experienced before. It was a pretty small village and everything was close together, unlike the towns that we have here where the houses are pretty far apart, and the people there seemed really happy to see us because they said that sometimes the government forgot about them because there were so many other villages way up in the mountains that needed support, and they just didn't get remembered all the time. So
it was a really special experience in Navidad. The people there they were just so happy, even though they didn't have as much that we do. They just always have a smile, always have something to be happy about. The kids there, they were so much fun to play with. Even if I didn't speak their language, we still kind of communicated in a way.
I was surprised by the living conditions because they were obviously living in poverty, and the people there were so happy, even though they didn't communicate much and we didn't know what they were saying. They just looked happy with their lives, and I think it's kind of cool because as people who live in America, we have basically everything we need, but they don't have a lot. And even if we have everything we need, we still are so unhappy, but they're happy with everything they have.
Knowing that other people don't have clean water like we do in the United States made me feel very grateful that we can use our water to cook and we can drink it without getting sick. It made me feel bad though, because the water in Guatemala has so much bacteria that they can get sick from drinking it. I really wanted to help out because I knew I was helping a lot of families, and I knew that this water tank or water system was going to help a lot of people, and I wanted to be a part of helping with that. So I just wanted to continue working and do the best I could.
When they gave us the message about how much it was going to help them and how grateful they were, it was just so nice to be able to like help the people. And it was also like the blessing that we got from giving to them was amazing, because yeah, we gave a little bit of our time, but the impact that that little bit of time has on so many people for so long is amazing, because we took 3 days and we moved a ton of stuff and we did a lot of work, but the fact that just that little bit of work helped so much, and it was a small part of the big project, but it will provide so much for so many people. So that was such a blessing to be able to bless them.
Seeing the people there having to carry the water up the mountains made me realize that we are so blessed here and that we don't have to think about where our water is coming from or being able to drink it. We just do it. But there they have to think about where it's coming from and personally carry it from one place to another. I love being a part of this project because we were able to bless a lot of people.
I think it was a blessing to help them out and to give them an opportunity that we often take for granted, which is having running water. One night we were all playing with the kids one night, and that was a blessing in itself. And I think knowing that they will have a better future.
I think sometimes in our communities back in New Hampshire, like, we get so sucked up in stuff that we have and sometimes don't appreciate the little things. And that's what the kids down there really appreciate, is the little things.
It was very interesting because when we were doing the cement, my mind kept going towards the end point and being able to bless these people, but also having a really fun time with all my friends.
There was dirt everywhere, and it was so dusty all the time, like we were coated in dust the entire time.
Knowing that we were only going to be in Navidad for only a few days, I wanted to give them the best that I could do, like 100% of my ability to help them build as much as we can. Even though I was tired, I was sweaty, I also had some sunburns, but it really didn't matter to me at that point whether I was tired or achy.
Moving all the rocks up to the top of the mountain was pretty difficult. We had to bring a lot of heavy ones and tons of little ones, so it was a pretty tedious task to bring it all up and then unload it and put it everywhere. It felt really good in the sense that we were accomplishing something that would make a really huge impact on the community in the village. So.
It felt really gratifying to know that even though it didn't seem like our efforts were a lot, like we only worked there for 3 days, we were helping them a lot because they were going to be able to use the water tank for years to come.
The Zona and the people at the Zona was probably one of my favorite parts. I loved communicating with everyone, even though not everyone knew English or knew very well English, and I didn't know Spanish. Just building those relationships was so amazing, and it makes me miss them even more because we all played games, soccer, card games. We were always having a good time, even if we didn't know what we were saying or each other were saying. We were always laughing, and it was just a great experience to get to know everyone there.
Hanging out in San Cristobal, it was a much more tourist side of Guatemala that I feel like had I just gone on my own without having done the mission work, that's all that I would have seen, in my vision of Guatemala would have been much different. I really enjoyed hanging out with the people that ran the mission there at the Zona. That was a lot of fun, and meeting like the Guatemalan people that lived there and got to enjoy the Zona because of the work they had done.
Hanging around the Guatemalan people there, especially the youth, it was really nice because even though I don't speak Spanish, like, it was nice to just communicate through actions and doing things.
In Guatemala, I definitely made some friends. I still keep in contact with some of them, which is amazing, and I'm hoping they last for a lifetime.
The Mayan ruins, that was a very cool experience because like These were buildings that were made like thousands of years ago, but they were still like really, really big, like bigger than anything that we have around Laconia. They had these giant stones, like bigger than a house, that they managed to move and stack on top of each other to create these huge pyramids. I also found it really interesting that even though it seemed like a really big city, they had only uncovered like 90 buildings from about 300 that they said were in the original city.
It was amazing getting to Flores. We left so early in the morning that like everybody was sort of like half awake, but when we got there it was so colorful and beautiful. Like the lake was so bright green and the houses were all painted, and then we got to go swim in the lake, and it was so nice because it was the first time we'd been swimming the entire time we were there, and it was so refreshing because it was so hot in Flores. And it was such a fun thing to just sort of like decompress after working for 3 days straight. It was sort of just like relaxing and having fun and joking around a little bit. And the architecture when we were in the center of Flores was amazing. Like the churches were gorgeous, and the cool blue doors were so vibrant compared to like the white buildings.
Antigua was very different from the rest of Guatemala. It was very busy, a lot of shops there to shop from. It was filled with people. It was very pretty, and we got to see a volcano starting to erupt. We did a lot of shopping and walking around, and the food was really good there, and the people were nice.
This zip line was really cool because it was on the side of a volcano, and when you looked down you could see the jungle, and then also you could see Antigua, and it was really cool to get that view of the city.
I'd say the biggest takeaway from the whole trip is don't be afraid to try new things, because there are a lot of things that I was like, you know what, this is probably the only chance I'm going to get to do it, so might as well go ahead and do it and, you know, face my fears or whatever, and I'm really glad I did. So that's something that I'm really starting to step out into, is exploring it.
Travel and meeting all these new people definitely changes you as a person. Like I came back and funny enough, it's been a month now, but there's still things I think about. I'm like, oh, not to be wasteful or to try to reuse and repurpose certain things. It was something that I think I'm gonna forever remember.
I just appreciate the things that I have now a lot more.
My perspective on everyday life has changed because I know now that like even just having a bed that I can sleep in without having to share it with other people, and having running water that I don't have to worry about like being potentially dangerous, or even just having running water in the house, that's been life-changing experience to realize like how much privilege you truly have, even if like the other people around you make it seem like you don't have that much.
It allowed me to open up my mind to things that we do take for granted. Meeting all the new people there was interesting, and being able to communicate while doing fun things opened up my heart.
Seeing how everyone else was in Guatemala, how even though they had so little and were so grateful, it makes me feel more grateful for the things I do have, and it makes me appreciate life and makes me feel happier knowing that I have all of this stuff and I should be more grateful for that.
It affected me actually quite a lot. I was not expecting to be like, I was so appreciative of everything we have in America.
When you're faced with like new things every day, you kind of just have to embrace it and enjoy it, which is what I tried to do to the best of my abilities, because there were so many new things. And I realized like probably the second day that if I didn't jump in and enjoy it and do my best, then I wasn't really gonna have that much fun, or I wasn't gonna be able to experience it fully. So I already tried, before the trip I tried to jump in and do things to the best of my ability, but this trip definitely was a bigger step in doing that every single day constantly, just accepting new things and trying new foods and different games and going out on a limb and trying to communicate with people more. So it was just a big step in saying, okay, I'm going to try this, and it may not be easy, but it'll definitely be worth it, and it might even be really fun.